3 coastguard teams in South Wales were called out, 2 RNLI lifeboats as well around 5:55 p.m. That call came in, but they had to call off the search in bad weather. They say they're going to start again once it gets light. So just goes to show, how tricky it is sometimes in these conditions for anyone to operate.
It is extraordinary that Storm Jocelyn is 2 days after Storm Isha. That's storm number 10, and there are a variety of places all around the country which are suffering from it.
Do you know our producer, Molly, how she got out of the car this morning and her glasses, the wind blew her glasses off her face and down the road, and she had to run after them. That's how windy it was.
We were in a skyscraper, really, and the wind tunnel just outside the skyscraper is absolutely... Sometimes you can't open the door of the car to get out because the wind is blowing so hard, which is, of course, nothing. I think it might just be because when you're in a big city when that happens, there do appear to be all sorts of problems around the country. As I say, there's flooding currently in York. We've seen really pictures of the wind being whipped up, and a lot of it is in the northern part of Nick is in Oban. We might not be able to get him because the wind may have been... Oh, he's there. Nick, are you there? Can you hear us? Tell us what's going on there.
Morning, Stig. I'm in Oban on the west coast of Scotland. I'm actually by the RNLI station. We're going to speak to the lads here for Talk TV. But obviously that news overnight that the huge search was underway for a person in South Wales that went into the sea near Porthcawl. As I understand it, 3 coastguard teams in South Wales were called out, 2 RNLI lifeboats as well around 5:55 p.m. That call came in, but they had to call off the search in bad weather. They say they're going to start again once it gets light. So just goes to show, how tricky it is sometimes in these conditions for anyone to operate. The guys here are just reminding everyone that you can get the Coast Guard on 999. So if you do see someone in the water, just get straight through to the Coast Guard on 999. In terms of Storm Jocelyn and how that's affected this area, Oban, because it's a ferry port, it's kind of sheltered from the worst of it. We had very blowy 60-mile-an-hour gusts last night, up to 80 in the north and the western edge of Scotland. But this is the second time in 3 days that the whole of the ScotRail network has been entirely shut down. What's going to happen probably around late morning is that ScotRail are going to perform a big inspection on their tracks to see if they can get those trains running, but it's going to take a few hours certainly. And then a lot of bridges closed. We've got the Dartford crossing is closed to the east of London, the Severn Bridge as well, and also a bit of the A66 in County Durham up in the north of England. And then in terms of power cuts, we're waiting to see. It doesn't look as bad as Storm Isha. There are still 4,500 homes without power still from Sunday night in Northern Ireland. So hoping they can get back on soon. But I know 90% of those homes in Northern Ireland are back on. And I just had a very interesting chat with a trawlerman here, a guy called John McAllister, who's just gone out in this weather on his boat Freedom 2. Him and 3 Latvian guys, they've literally just left, but he was saying this weather is wrecking his business at the moment. And then on top of that, you've got these MPS, marine protection sites, which limit the areas he can get to, and then the weather's affecting that as well. And he actually told me that Brexit has absolutely ruined the fishing industry because no one can get any crews anymore, and he's spending so much money on fuel just to get out there in this weather. He's not got a big enough catch to unload, so he's very unhappy. And then the plan for us over the next few hours is to come down, because there's a lot of flooding potentially in Western Scotland and Northern England as well. Parts of York already underwater, and I think there are 37 flood warnings in Scotland. That means flooding is likely, and 21 in England as well. So this was shorter and sharper than Isha, but because we're still kind of clearing up from Isha, Jocelyn could bring quite a lot of disruption to the UK today.
Nick, very, very clear stuff. You're doing a great job following the bad weather, and there's been plenty of bad weather for you to follow. There's Nick Ellerby in Oban this morning.